now. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our X39 review with testimonial. It's Sunday, so happy you could be here today. Boy, do I have a special guest today. Cheryl will be giving her testimonial today. And then I'll talk a little bit about the product and a little bit about how you can get patches. So I was blessed to meet Cheryl Walsh about 60 days ago. And she has quite a story. She has a story of the comeback kid, so to speak. Just 2 years ago, she had about a 25% chance of living. Makes me want to cry. And today, within 45 days, she became a director in our LifeWave business. So something is happening to her. She has purpose. She's making changes in her health and in her business and her emotional stability, I believe. And Cheryl, I'm just so excited to have you on and for you to share your story. Please, explain to us like why you had 25% chance and what is happening now in your life. And with all of this crazy health stuff, like why did you decide to build a business as well? I mean, it's a pretty wild story. So please unmute yourself and let's hear what's going on with Cheryl from Florida.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Marcy. Thank you so much. So I hope today that I can be an inspiration and service to everyone here. This is my story from my perspective and my own healing. And I have to say, I didn't start this journey for a business. And I'm going to go around to that and just say, I'm going to give you some do's and don'ts. Because if you think this is going to be a business for you, do it differently than I did. But we'll get to that. It was a journey of healing for me, basically. And I didn't even know there was a business to this. I had no idea. What happened for me was I was inspired by Maureen Mongan, and she's a very good friend of mine. She's on the call tonight. And if you haven't listened to Maureen's testimony, you need to, because hers is May 31st is her testimony. And, you hear testimonies from companies and you don't know. I knew this woman personally. I was one of 5 people that knew her story personally, intimately. And she actually was gifted the X39 patches by a friend. And I'm not going to tell her story, but it's a good one. And I knew Maureen maybe 12 or 15 years ago. And we were always doing organic scrubs and products and doing farmers markets and the next best thing, and trying to eat healthy and all these things. And when I actually heard her story, I broke down in tears and I went, that's my friend. That's my friend. And I got to do this. Now she gifted me these patches. I was, I'll go into my medical history, but in, I would say March, she sent me 10 patches to try. I didn't know, what is this? We don't know. I'll try anything, I didn't know. So then I ended up getting sick again in March. And when I say sick, my immune system was completely compromised. And it's a story about, I would say, I go back about 8 years. When I was 45, I started doing the health checks and this and that. And I knew something was wrong. I mean, I'm a woman that right out of college, I went into design business and I was a $1 million writer in sales, which is funny to me because my nickname was Mouse. I couldn't talk to anyone. I didn't know how to sell. I didn't know how to do any of this. By 27, I was running that particular store. I had a sales team underneath me of interior designers. From there, I was in advertising. I was running a team of advertising. I was producing a daily newspaper and 15 magazines. I was a real estate developer. I was right when the crash of 2008 was happening. I mean, I was left with commercial property that was doing nothing and we had a crash. I was, and then I went to the wedding industry. I was literally my last year of doing that. I had 681 events in 1 year. I was booking 10 restaurants, all their events at the same time. And I was running outside weddings, catering weddings and tents and everything like that. So literally I was a woman that burned the candle at both ends. I worked hard and At 45, I started to get my health checked up, and it started out with, I knew something was wrong, but I had a fibroid tumor, which was the size of a grapefruit. And they ended up having to remove that. And I thought, well, shoot, at 45, I'm not going to have kids now. Just take that, and we're done, right? So then I said, okay, I have to keep doing my checks. So the next thing was the breast exam. Well, don't you know, this is why I never went to doctors, because every time I did, they told me something was wrong. So then I was diagnosed with DCIS, which is, it wasn't a stage form at that point, but it was something they wanted me to do, radiation and chemo and all of that. And I refused to do that. We just did a lumpectomy. And at the same time, I asked Maureen, when was the last time you were checked? And she said, oh, it's been a year, it's been good. Well, she went and got checked, and sure enough, she actually did have something bigger, and she healed it through diet. Meanwhile, all these years, we're looking for the next best thing to heal health-wise, and, and doing all this that we possibly can for ourselves. But what happened to me is 3 years ago, when I turned 50, my life fell apart. I was in a marriage 30 years, and we were a couple years out from retiring and having it all done. After all this hard work and everything, we were there, and it literally fell apart. It wasn't my doing, it wasn't my choice. I had it all planned out, but that really took me down. And I literally ran away from Colorado with a 27-foot U-Haul and my cat and Shelly, my best friend, and we drove across the country. And I did not know a soul in Florida. I just wanted to get away as far and as fast as I could. However, emotionally, it took me down. I was diagnosed twice with PTSD by someone in Colorado, and then when I got here in Florida again. I refused to take anything forward. I'm just not into anything synthetic. I just thought, oh, I've got this. I can handle this. Not a problem. I've overcome so much. I can do this. I can do this. But what I didn't realize what was happening to me, I bought a home down here in 2017, and I was looped in this trauma. PTSD is a real thing where your brain doesn't know the difference. It thinks it's still in that particular mode of what's going on. It's not going on anymore. But I was stuck in that. It's a real thing, and it's any traumatic event that can happen to anybody. And the emotional part of all of that, and I had lost my father not all that long ago. He died from pancreatic cancer, and then I lost my husband, and then I was just like, oh, it was just looping. And here I'm trying to make a new life in Florida. But what ended up happening to me is 2018, I had a little bout. It felt like the flu, and the flu was going around, and my neighbors had it, and I thought, oh, no big deal. It's just time of year, it comes down, it happens. And it would last maybe 2 or 3 days for them, and it was lasting like 2 weeks for me. And so I thought, okay, well, that's odd, Again, it happened the next month. I thought it was, okay, another round of flu, here we go. Well, March 5th, 2018, I was in so much pain, I was doubled over, and I ended up driving myself to the emergency room at 2 in the morning. I loved raw seafood. I got all excited about having oysters, and it wasn't about bad oysters, it was about my gut health was so bad. I didn't know this, I had no other signs of it, but I was diagnosed with acute diverticulitis. And at the time I was taken in there, they put me on pain medication, antibiotics, and said, follow up with somebody, within the next 10 days, this is what you're gonna have to do, and released me. Well, instead of getting better, I was getting worse and worse and worse. And when I started deep diving into what that was, I realized my body wasn't creating hydrochloric acid. It wasn't breaking down food properly to start with. So not only did the stress and everything of my life before this, did I chew through my uterus, I was now chewing through my guts. And before I could even, by the time I got to follow up with a specialist, she didn't, I was literally just talking. She didn't examine me, nothing. It was like, okay, well, she's like, well, you're not through all your medication. You got 3 more days to go. Let's see how it does. But let's schedule you a CAT scan just in case. And that was, I think that was a Tuesday or Wednesday, and my CAT scan was scheduled for a Friday. And I just kept getting worse to the point you're not supposed to eat during this time. You're supposed to be on a liquid diet. And I was taking my meds and the painkillers and the antibiotics. But what ended up happening is by the time that Friday rolled around, I think if one of my friends hadn't come in and said, you know, you're not getting better, you're getting worse. I was literally throwing up. I couldn't keep anything down. I couldn't keep the antibiotics down, nothing. And so I said, no matter what happens, I'm going to have to get this CAT scan. If he hadn't been there, I probably would have rolled all over and that would have been it. But what happened is we went to have the CAT scan. I said, please don't let me out of this place without getting help. I'm in so much pain. I've never been in this much pain in my life. And the radiologist, they were doing a CAT scan and he came out and his eyes were about this big. And he said, that's it. I'm calling ahead for a surgeon. Just go right to the emergency. We're calling ahead and doing that. And what ended up happening is I didn't have an abscess when I first went to the emergency room, but by 10 days later, I had an abscess. My surgeon said it was the biggest abscess he's ever seen that didn't burst and go septic. Now, I didn't know this. I was in la la land, honestly. They put me right in to drain the abscess first because they said, if we don't do this, you may end up on a colostomy bag your entire life. And he said, so I can go in there now, or we can try to drain that. So I went into surgery that night. 4 days later, it finally got down to it, and they ended up able to do surgery for me. What ended up with that is I had 2 parts of my large intestine removed and a part of my small intestine removed. And that was after the surgery abscess. And he said, you've been through a lot of surgery. You have a lot of stitches. I can't even tell you. I ended up I think they had a surgical nurse just for me that night, just watching. I guess they didn't think I was going to make it. I didn't know it. I was in medication coma. I had no idea. I ended up being, in the hospital 22 days. I still ended up on a colostomy bag after all that, but it wasn't permanent. Took a lot of healing during that time. I actually herniated through the stoma area. I mean, luckily my surgeon was young enough. He was into doing reversals. And he says, you're young enough, we can do a reversal. You just got to heal. There's too much. He said, Cheryl, I've never seen anything this large. It looked like a gunshot wound had gone off. He said, I couldn't even tell if you had your appendix or anything. So it's a very long recovery. It's a very long recovery. I didn't start feeling like myself for maybe a good year or so into all of that, maybe a year and a half. And so finally feeling myself a little bit, but I have to tell you, I couldn't remember how to make coffee. I couldn't remember how to do the basic stuff. I was running multi-million-dollar companies. I had teams of people underneath me, and my brain wasn't firing. I was literally taken out of life. I didn't know how bad I was until later I got the medical records, and that's when they said they gave me a 25% chance to survive it. No clue. So bringing us up to March, what ended up happening is, so my immune system's compromised. So every little thing that came down the pipe, every cold, anybody had anything, I was already compromised by my immune. Now I'm trying to build back up my gut health. I didn't have anything to start with. Now it's even further compromised. And every little thing that came down, I got. And Maureen said, that's it, Cheryl. I'm sending you these patches. I've been on them since, I think, the end of January of this year. She says, we got to get better. We have things to do. We have to get better. That's it. So bless her heart for gifting me the sleeves. Now, I took those for 40 days and I kept my mouth shut. I didn't say anything, and I wasn't in pain. I was already through all the pain, so I wasn't having pain. But what I noticed is my skin was clearing up right away. Like my wrinkles were less. My hair had fallen out. I still only have about half the hair I used to. My hair was coming in gray from all the stress. I was really mad that of all these things, my red hair was going to go away. And I started noticing that, hey, my hair is coming back in red. Look at that. That's kind of a nice little side effect, but I still kept my mouth shut. I only used the X39, nothing else. I put it on the back of my neck. I would go between the neck and my stomach area because that's where my problems were. Most of the time I wore it on my stomach. I wasn't in pain, so I couldn't really tell what it was doing, but I had all these great side effects. I mean, my nails were growing. I don't know if you can see these nails. Those are real. I have to keep filing them down. They're so thick now. I mean, these are just great side effects to what's happening. But I was off them 2 weeks in between. I was moving in between, and by the time the shipping and everything, but I just calculated today, I've been on them 108 days. And about the 90-day mark, I would say everything clicked in. My brain started firing. My friends were like, who is this girl? We don't know this girl. We only know the sick girl. Who is this person? I said, this is who I used to be. This was who I was. And I got clarity. The PTSD was gone. I didn't even realize the PTSD was gone until another traumatic event came on, and I was not looping anymore in my brain. That didn't happen for me anymore. And it was just like, oh my gosh, this is working for me. And the first thing you want to do is you want to help your friends and family. So this happened organically for me. I was not expecting to do a business until I heard Maureen's testimony, and I cried and said, look, if this girl is walking now after everything she's been through, I have results and I'm going to do this. I signed up to be a distributor June 1st. I think I have 30 some people under me now. I'm sorry I didn't look at it today to see where I'm at, but all I did, and all I can tell you as a success story, is share it. It's a gift. Make sure you give it to people. Make sure you tell them your story. If you don't have a testimonial, you can use my testimonial. If you don't, or Maureen's testimonial. But that's what it comes from. It was a true just, hey, what's going on with you? You're different. What are you doing? Where did all this energy come from? You know, and all of a sudden then abundance came back to my life. I could think, I could talk, I can formulate a whole thought pattern now where I couldn't even do that before. And so just bringing this back, you know, it's all about mind, body, and spirit. And when you heal the body, when you start physically healing, all of a sudden your mind starts healing, your emotions start healing. And it's a whole thing about the next level is once you have this happening, I was lucky. I was on the patches for a long time. And I know you guys are just starting this business. You're waiting for your product to come in. You want to get on it. You don't even know your own results yet. A lot of that happens. You're trying to gift it to people and people go, you know what? I didn't really feel anything in 7 days. Well, you know what? How long were you sick for? This is not a miracle. You know, some people have immediate results and some people don't. But what made it successful for me is I shared it with people that I knew needed it. And I followed up with them. And I would give them, being in Florida, the ship time from California is at least a good week, okay? So now I have patches. And I have very sensitive people who are my friends, and I always start out with a half patch for them. So one patch can last them 2 days. And I think it's good because sometimes people can have an immediate reaction. And I think it's important that you talk through what they may experience. They may have some detox symptoms. They may have headaches. Make sure they're drinking plenty of water. Make sure that they're understanding what you're giving them. Make sure you talk through it with them. Ask them, what are they doing? What are they healing from? What's going on with them? It's really important. Follow up, follow up, follow up. And when I met Marcy, we did a little Zoom call. I didn't even know what the heck she was talking about. It was overwhelming to me. I couldn't comprehend it because I'm a person that wants to know everything right now, right now, right now. And I couldn't wrap my brain around all of it yet. But I just stuck with her formula. Patch 3 people a day. You follow up with 3 people a day and you invite one person to a Zoom call. Well, pretty soon people are like, what are you doing? What's going on? Are you kidding me? This just got, X39 just got approved for patenting and, all these other things. And I had never done inline marketing. I don't know anything about it. Never did it before. And people who did were like jumping in under me. And I'm like, well, what are you going to do? I said, well, I'm going to go sign up 2 or 3 people right now. And they're like, here's my credit card. Let me in. Let me in. Because they saw the difference in me. They saw my testimonial. They saw what it did for me. And all I was doing was sharing. Now, look, I could have if I thought this was a business, I could have afforded to be a diamond dealer. I didn't do it that way. I started in at silver. I usually sit there and talk about all the products with people and what they want. And I look at it retail wise with them and I say, you know what? I can save you about $250, $300, whatever it is, because their list is pretty long about what they want. And I said, why don't you be a distributor? Because I know once you start using this, you need a placeholder. You're going to want to do this as a business. I'm pretty sure you're going to share it with other people. And guess what? It's going to build things for you. And I have people that aren't doing the business yet, but all of a sudden they have all these points underneath them. And they finally, they looked at the backlog with me and I went, they're like, oh my gosh, look at all these points. I'm like, yeah, I know. Are you ready to do this now? So it's really important. You know, you get your favorite people high and tight, your friends, your family. You want them to be a part of this with you, because guess what? You get to talk to your best friend all day long, every day. And it's a great connection with people. And that's what you want to do. Your first generation of people who you sign up, you want to know those people, and then you want to help them help their people, and so on and so on and so on. So it's a really great testimonial. All I can say is if you really think this is going to be a business, if you're not necessarily just, if you've got the money, do it, because here's what I did. I jumped in as a silver. And then, oh my gosh, 2 days later, I need more patches. I'm sharing too much. Now I went to a gold. All right, 2 days later, it's, you know, three, I think it was 3. Now I went to a platinum. Oh my gosh, within less than 2 weeks, I just went diamond. I'm just like, you idiot, you could have done this from the very beginning. I could have saved so much money in shipping. I'm giving away patches, I'm selling patches. It's just, we're always running out of patches, you know, because once they see your story, they want in. And I only used the X39. A month and a half ago, I added the glutathione product, because I needed immune support. So I've been doing that for a month and a half. And I did start the SP6 for, you know, helping me with weight loss. And I have to say I've lost 9 pounds in a month and a half. And I'm like, okay, I'll take it. I'll take it, you know. But it's one of those things. It's about gifting. It's about following up. It's about, especially people that you know that they're having medical issues. It may take people 90 days. 120 days till they see results. And it's really hard to talk through people, and they want fast results and they don't always get it. So it's important to know who you're sharing it with, who you're talking to. We're not medical experts. We're not. We're just sharing what's successful for us. And from that, people are handing me money. They're just handing me money. My friends are like, you know, what is that? Does that have speed in it? What's going on? Like, you've never talked this fast before. It's been a long time. So all I can say is, if you're going to do it, do it. Just don't do what I did. You know, within a month, what is it, a month and a half now? Now I'm a director. It all happened organically, just from wanting to heal, just from seeing my friend heal, see my friend walk, see her success. And it happened for me. And I just encourage all my distributors, there's 2 things you really need in your bag. You need an ice wave and you need X39. And I just got done patching an 89-year-old before I came over here. She needs a hip replacement. She's in pain. She's, you know, gone through everything. And my friend called me and said, you know, you've been talking about these patches. I don't know what it's about. You know, come over, will you help my mom? And I said, yes, I will. And I put ice wave on her, and she went from an 8, and we got it down to a 4. I was actually happy with that. I was really happy, but I'm telling you, the ice wave patches work within minutes. It's immediate results, especially for people who are in chronic pain or they're hurting. If you can take away that pain, they don't even know what it's like to not have pain. And that right there, I had people, and here's the other thing. I never took videos every time I was patching somebody. I had people literally in my own kitchen. Within 2 minutes, they came in with such pain, and they were dancing and crying and jumping around going, oh my gosh, I'm out of pain, I'm out of pain. I can't believe this. I stick the X39 on them first. We start chit-chatting about the product and everything. And then if they're in pain, I put an ice wave patch on them and I work them through that. And that's what we sit there and do. You need to have only those 2 products. If that's what you start with, that's what you start with. But there's so many more, of which Marcy will talk about. But I'm telling you, it works. And I never expected a business out of this. That was not my goal. I'm turning it back over to you. That was a lot.
Wow, what a story. And I am so glad Maureen shared with you. And you know, Maureen is the one that had the testimonial with the stage 4 breast stuff. And Cheryl, you know, this colon burst eating away is a real thing. I mean, it put her in the hospital, two cutouts of the large intestine and one in the small. I mean, you are a very, very sick girl. I don't think people appreciate what the colon does for us until it doesn't work. It's your main absorption and elimination of everything you eat. And if it's not functioning, you're not functioning. And, you know, the Cheryl I know today is fast and sharp and non-stressed. And I mean, she just started a full-time job again in a designer shop. Like, she's on it. And so to hear the story of she couldn't remember how to make her coffee a year ago is incredible. And the other thing that I think is so beautiful is that you just wore the patch and kept your mouth shut. I can still remember our first call together. She was like, you should have seen her arms, they were crossed. She's like, I'm not doing this. You know, I'm not doing this. I'm a sales rep, but I'm not doing this. And then all of a sudden, I don't know what happened. Maybe it was day 90 when all of a sudden she realized, like, she got her brain back and she was happy again and her hair was red again. And that whole, like, another stressful situation happened and she didn't react. So she knew the PTSD was gone, and that's a real loop too. And I have to also acknowledge the trigger of all that was loss for you, sweetheart. The loss in your life triggered your body to break down, right? And so Maureen basically said, girl, let's get our bodies back together. It's not time. We're not going anywhere. We're going to move past loss and live again. And I want to cry because that's exactly what both you girls did and are doing. And you have these big, beautiful businesses as a result of stepping past pain, past loss, past PTSD, and saying, you know, I'm ready to live again. I have purpose, you know, and, you know, and I do, you know, we all have a different idea of spirit, but when you are in purpose, you can't help but live.
I have to tell you, the coolest part, Marcy, is like I said, I didn't know anybody. Siesta Keys is down the road for me. That's a 99.9% quartz crystal beach. People go there to vacation and they lay on the beach and they feel better after a weekend. Well, that's the quartz in it. That's the crystals in that beach. This sits on a crystal node. Sarasota is called the Crystal City of Light. I'm a light worker. Are you kidding me? I get to sit and work with crystals now to help heal people. Like, it doesn't get better than this. It doesn't.
It doesn't. So let's show everybody what this crystal is that you're talking about. This is the X39 patch. It looks like this. And it comes in a sleeve like this. There's 30 in a sleeve. And what Cheryl's talking about is in what looks like a little Band-Aid is organic crystals of amino acids. And our owner of the company, David Schmidt, he's our owner, inventor, CEO. He figured out how to harness the heat or infrared of our skin to create a light wave. And the light wave is what elevates peptides in our body. Much like when you're in the sun, there is a short light wave called ultraviolet light that elevates vitamin D. This actually is a longer light wave that elevates something called GHK copper peptides. And that has a unique ability to activate your own stem cells, make more stem cells, and reset those stem cells to a younger, healthier state. So what was happening to Cheryl? She was remobilizing those stem cells. And by the way, at age 30, you've lost 50% of your stem cell activity. And by age 60, you've lost almost all of it. That's why we don't repair. That's why our hair goes gray. We're slowly getting old. Just true. So what this does is when you put new young stem cells on old tissue, you turn the tissue young again. And Cheryl activated her pluripotent stem cells, which are the unique kind of stem cells that can turn into anything her body needs to repair. And my guess, it was marching to her brain to fix the part of her brain that was too big because of PTSD. I'm just reading this book on fear, and it talks about that. It's actually something in the brain. Fear, PTSD, expands a certain part of your brain too large. And so honestly, Cheryl, this was just getting your brain fitted, back in the right size, to be honest. And then it also was marching down to her colon, making sure digestion worked again, making sure all of that started healing. And along the way, why not let her have red hair again? Why should we as beautiful women, why should our beauty be taken from us? No, there's no reason. David says that basically, back in the day in the 50s, they thought cells had to get old and die. Today, that's not true. Today, he says cells can live long. He says it's not anti-aging. We are age reversing. And he says there's a lot of stuff. If you listen to the interview he did with us 2 Fridays ago, and that interview you can pull from startx39biz.com and send it to anyone. But he says we're in a world right now where we're really sick. We got food that's toxic, water that's toxic, cell phones and frequencies, 5G, just stuff that's trying to tear the core of our human body apart. Remember, we're a 3-part being: body, mind, spirit. And the body is starting to tear apart. And he said that this has a unique ability to elevate peptides, and different patches elevate different peptides. And it turns out when you elevate different peptides, it heals the body. What a concept. And it also makes us young again. Awesome. And so we have a lot of different patches, but the one that he created just a year ago is the X39. It took him 39 times. It's his 3rd generation of patch. He says it's his favorite patch out of all the patches he makes because it does activate your own stem cells. He has a 20-year patent. We just got that 2 months ago. It only took a year to get the patent. Usually that takes 5 years, but he proves so solidly that we do, in fact, increase GHK copper peptide in the blood that activates stem cells, that he got that patent in 1 year. We are in 100 countries because he's created a backbone. We have been around since 2004. He says his 5 favorite patches total, and I started wearing each of them because, as you know, I'm recovering from stage 3 breast cancer. And like Cheryl, I decided I didn't want to be just 50% well, I want to be 100% well. So I use X39. His 2nd favorite patch is Eon, that stops inflammation. I use that now. He also loves carnosine, which is really good for the brain. I use that now. He loves glutathione, that builds the immune system. I use that now. And Alavita, which is great for the skin. And I use that now. And I don't know about all of you guys, but I have been using X39 for 10 months and all the other patches for just about 6 weeks. I feel better than I've ever felt my whole life. So I'm just in gratitude. I just so thank David for coming and healing us and making us feel beautiful again, like really. So how do you get these patches? Well, get with the person who brought you here. You can say X39 and you can get that retail for $149, or you can become a preferred customer at $99. You can just go to their website and click buy. Or if you say, hey, I want a pack wholesale, lots of people start with the silver pack for $2.99, and get with the person who brought you here and say, hey, I want to join and get that silver pack. That's 3 X39s, or you can get 2 of any other patch for 1 X39. So you can kind of fill it, which is kind of cool. Or like what Cheryl did is she upgraded to a diamond, and she wished she would have done it right away because she had a lot of people to share with. And that's $1,600, and that gives you 19 sleeves. And once again, you click join to order. And you can get more information by going to startx39.com. There's a 3-minute video on stem cells. There is a 18-minute video on the science and the issues that stem cell X39 helps with through David Schmidt. You can click all the research button, or you can also see testimonials and how to wear the patch. It's a great site. And for any of you distributors here that want to send links to folks, once again, you can grab links at startx X39biz.com. And in testimonials, there is the great 45-minute testimonial of David Schmidt that you can send to folks, and the 15-minute question and answers. I have to say that's probably the best interview I've ever heard, and it's been life-changing for me personally. So with that, thank you so much for coming today. And tomorrow night, 6 o'clock Pacific and 9 o'clock Eastern, we'll have another X39 review with testimonial. And we're so happy that you all came. And Cheryl, so excited for your healing and your beauty and your success. You are such a light, beautiful woman. And we're so glad you decided to stay here in this world with us. So with that, thank you so much. Lots of love to all of you. Have a great, great day, and goodbye now.
Bye.